Jason Johnson, great shirt as always.
Awesome.
I know what the Matrix trilogy meant to me, okay, as a college kid in '99 when the Matrix groundbreaking, mind blowing, all those things. How psyched are you for Matrix Resurrections 20 plus years later?
You know, I thought I had a choice as to whether I would be excited about this movie, but as the Merovingian explained to me years ago, choice is merely an illusion between the powerful and the weak. I'm so damn excited about this movie. I'm so excited about this movie. So ridiculously excited about this movie. To show you how excited I am about this guy. So yesterday when I got the somebody sent me the link or everything else like that, and I was in the production room like at Universal, and I'm like sharing it with the whole staff. We're all in mass. I was like, y'all got to see this. Y'all, you can pick the red and the blue pill. I remember how groundbreaking it was. I saw The Matrix the second weekend it came out in '99. I was in school at the time, and it came out in May. Like, a lot of people don't remember that, like, it was one of the last movies to come out. You know, nowadays, if your movie ain't a hit, if it's not top 5 in the first 2 weeks, it's out of the theaters. The Matrix was in the theaters all summer because it was like this slow burn. And I remember just watching it with my friend Alex. I was like, I never seen anything like this. So I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled. I'm mad that Larry Fishburne's not going to be in it, but I'm already locked.
I know.
Yeah. And you know what? It's interesting that you say that, because in '99 when it came out, and Michael Smith probably doesn't remember, his memory a little fuzzy, but the first time we saw it together. He was an intern at the Boston Globe.
Did we?
And so, yes, you, me, and Rupin Fafaria, the three of us saw this movie.
Wow.
But when it came out in '99, there was nothing like it. But Jason, within a year or two, everybody was doing it. So I know that the original stands out because it was so different. But if you look at all of the movies, I'd love to hear this from you, Jason. What do you think the best movie is out of the three?
It's still the first one. The first one is the best overall movie. Yeah. But what I can say sincerely,
it goes in descending order.
Well,
the second two are really one movie.
Yeah, the second two are kind of combined.
Split. Yeah.
The third one was sort of like the second Hunger Games thing. Like, it just sort of felt like an extension. But I can tell you, when I run through like my top 5 action battle scenes of all time, you got like the Battle of Hoth, you've got the battle in the first Independence Day in space, you've got the battle at the end of Endgame. The Matrix Returns, the second Matrix film, that fight all the way from the Merovingians' sort of dinner party to that car race on the highway is the most amazing 23 minutes in film I've ever seen. Yeah. I mean, the second movie's not that great, but that whole scene, they're fighting in the car with dreadlock ghosts. I mean, you can't get better than that in the film. I mean, it's just incredible.
Right.
Listen, Reloaded, Revolutions, hell, somewhere I got the Animatrix and the Final Flight of the Osiris on DVD somewhere if I go look for it. But speaking of being caught in the Matrix, now let's go to what we think is our reality, okay? I feel like we're in the Matrix in Texas and Greg Abbott.
Oh, yes.
And all I want to know from you after this latest, we obviously have seen the abortion ban and now SB1, another draconian voting rights law. I just want to know why does it feel like the good guys are always playing defense instead of offense, or always reactionary instead of being proactive when it comes to legislation?
So it's funny that you say that. There was a comic 20-something years ago called The Last Avengers Story. It literally asks that same question. It's like, why are heroes always out there? Why do they have big glowing headquarters in the middle of the city? Why are heroes always doing press releases when bad guys are coming up with plans? That's kind of what we're seeing, right? That's why the superheroes' headquarters gets blown up. That's why the Batcave gets invaded every other movie. Because they're sitting around doing all these philosophical conversations, and bad guys are scheming and plotting. The really frustrating thing, honestly, Michael, about this for me, and for most people who are really on the ground and doing that fight, is everybody knew this was coming. They said, Abbott said this is what he was going to do. They knew this back in May. So what did the administration do? All these different times you have Democrats fleeing the state saying, yo, you got to do something in advance. And here's the key, because I don't want us to conflate the two. This is what makes it so dangerous. It's not just voting rights and abortion. They got rid of voting rights first because they didn't want to get in trouble for going after abortion, right? Because if you do the abortion bill first and you leave voting rights intact, you might get kicked out of office. So all the crazy nonsense they're doing now is because they eliminated voting rights, because they think now, well, there's no chance that large groups of women and men who are concerned about women's bodily autonomy will make us suffer at the ballot box. So this was planned, it was orchestrated, and while the bad guys and while Killmonger had his whole plan the whole time, you know, T'Challa was sitting around, running around after Shuri and everything else like that. It is an example of a long problem we've seen.
All right, but listen, in the case of Wakanda, they didn't necessarily know that Killmonger was coming. But to your point, they knew this was going to happen. What should they have done? What should they have done if you are Democrats in Texas, Democrats nationally? What should the plan have been?
So there's two prongs. The people in the state did everything they could, right? They can't do anything. This is a federal issue. So what Joe Biden should have said from the beginning, rather than this ridiculous conversation we have now where he's treating Joe Manchin like he's the co-president, like I'm sick and damn tired of hearing from Joe Manchin, objectively. This is a guy who's been in office in various locations for years. I ain't never hear of him until the last 8 months. Now it seems like he's got a regular column in the New York Times and always wants to stand in the way of voting reform and everything else like that. If I were Joe Biden, in the same way that he could stand and say, we won't accept terrorism, this, that, and the other, during my first major speech, I would have said to the state of Texas and anybody out there who plans to go against voting rights or anything else like that, I will use every single resource in my arsenal as the President of the United States to stop you. That includes withdrawing federal funds. That includes engaging in massive audits of any and all state organizations that take federal funds that may be directly or indirectly related to voting. That includes deputizing a force of doctors to go to that state and then perform abortions. And if you want to stop this, all you can do is attack it at the civil level because they've essentially got federal immunity, which is the same thing we have for police officers. There are hundreds of things that Joe Biden could have done. He did not. There are hundreds of things that Joe Biden could have said at the beginning of the year. All this stick and carrot nonsense that we've seen with Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. I haven't seen no carrots yet. I haven't seen any sticks yet. All I've seen is carrots. Carrots, 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 right? He could have said, you know what, Joe Biden, you know what, Joe Manchin, I'm not going to wait for you or anybody else in this country who's not concerned about voting rights. I'm going to sue. I'm going to be preemptive. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. They're not doing those things because Joe Biden doesn't want to get rid of the filibuster. And at the end of the day, he thinks that black people can out-organize corruption, which never works.
Well, listen, I'm going to switch gears on you, Doc, and then this is my last one. Look, I remember when you posted, it probably was on Instagram, when you posted, pictures. You got the vaccine. You were all good. You were happy about it. You were masked up still.
Yeah.
Mike got it. I got it. We were all excited. Hey, breakthrough moment. No pun intended. And it has really turned into a bigger fight than I ever imagined. So where do you think we're headed with this? We've got the vaccinated. The vaccinated are doing their thing. I don't know if you could. Yeah. The vaccinated are doing their thing. The unvaccinated are standing their ground. And we got variants. We got the Mu variant. We got the Delta.
Right.
Where do you think we're headed with this thing? Where are we headed?
Well, I mentioned to you guys a couple of weeks ago. I mean, the only thing I don't want the Gamma variant. I got too much anger as it is. I don't want this to keep going throughout the alphabet. But I can tell you the reason that we're in this situation is because, one, the previous administration, right? And two, again, you don't see enough authority being asserted by the federal government. I will snatch all your highway funds if you don't engage in vaccination. Look at what the NFL has done. And I always said, the NFL, all those team owners, they're basically mini Trumps. But even they realize this is going to cost us too much money. My team, the Seahawks, just announced yesterday, hey, look, nobody's coming in this stadium to see us go 13-4 and get to the NFC Championship. Just putting that out there because the Rams are going to be trash. No one's going to enter our stadium this year if you can't prove proof of vaccination. And that's why we've had this problem, because there was a concerted effort to tell everybody, once you're vaccinated, we can go play, but there wasn't enough of a concerted effort to make sure that everybody got vaccinated. So that's why we're where we are now, and it's a real concern because it's just going to get worse.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for following through. We'll see you again soon. Happy Star Trek Day, by the way. Kirk out. Happy Star Trek. I know you're a big Trekkie. You're a Trekkie.
Can't wait. Yeah, love Trek. I got Uhura behind me. Absolutely love the Frogger show. So I love that segment y'all did beforehand. I was a Mega Man guy more than a Contra guy. But yeah, totally excited about that show.
Mega Man, Ninja Gaiden, all of it. That's those are the days.
That was my
We appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Thank you, man.